There's something as corny as that. I was living on Villeneuve near Esplanade. Florence was living on Esplanade near Villeneuve.
We have conflicting stories about how we initially met, but they're both romantic, I think.
The first time I met Fagel, I was sitting right here on this balcony where I'm standing. I was sitting with my mandolin and playing something, and she was walking by, and she looked up, and she heard the music, and I remember her sitting on the bottom step and working her way up, singing in her little voice. She knew whatever it was I was playing, she knew it. And that's how we became friends.
I heard music coming from the window. And I saw someone at the piano, and I was curious, and I invited myself in, I guess. But I climbed in through the window, and that was the beginning of our friendship.
I don't remember that.
Okay, now you give me your perception of...
I remember sitting right here and playing the mandolin. And I remember you walking by and you looked up and you started singing. Well, maybe that was the second, or I mean, who's counting? Maybe that was the second time I saw you. I don't remember that.
When I met Shirley, I fell in love with her. It was a different thing. It was an emotional thing. It wasn't a sexual thing. We shared all these lovely things. So I really loved her. And I think I was interesting enough and loving enough to elicit a certain response. And I think in her way, she loved me too.
She was tough. She was the leader of the boys' gang on the street. You know, she was the leader, and they were afraid of her. They did as they were told, or else. You know what I mean, that type? But at the same time, you know, she was very sensitive. If somebody in need or somebody unhappy, or she had that capacity of looking through the outward package and looking through to the core. She still is like that.
We were different. I was an athlete, and she was very delicate. She played the piano and she read, and even the clothes she wore were very delicate. I mean, that's how I see it. I hate to use the word feminine because I don't like to. They were more lacy. But fundamentally, we had everything in common. She played the piano and she played the mandolin, and I sang. I thought it was a relationship made in heaven. So I knew that we'd be friends forever. Well, when I first told her we were kids, I mean, I was 10 and she was 13 or 12 and a half. She loved me, meaning it was her boyfriends that resented it.
And she had a crush on this one, she had a crush on that one, and she had many crushes on many women through my whole time that I was growing up with her. And to me, that was... I don't know if she was, well, I know she was aware, but to me, I didn't know anything else. I grew up with her very, very closely. And to me, that was as normal as my having a crush on this boy who played the piano so beautifully.
Yeah, I was jealous about her boyfriends. And I think I gave them a rough time.
You think?
I beat up a few. I was a boxer. I mean, I was You put up your dukes.
No, but it worked out in the end.
But then I realized that, you know, she was going another way, and I was going this only as far as sexuality was concerned, because emotionally,
Not
it's nothing
spiritually.
nothing altered. I'm a lesbian, and that's it. At that time, people would say it's the environment you grew up in, it's conditions that made me a lesbian. But now I know that I was born that way. "55 years ago, when I met Shirley, this is where we used to hang out. These lanes lead us to the backyards of the houses we once lived in. Over there is my backyard, and right upstairs is where
Right here is
Shirley
my
lived.
backyard.
And I used to walk up and visit her, and we'd sing on the balcony.
When we first met, I couldn't speak any English.
And I couldn't speak any Polish, but at that point, Shirley had already learned Yiddish. So in my broken Yiddish, I was...
Mine was also broken.
No, I thought you spoke fluently, but I
Well,
wouldn't have been...
compared to you, everybody's fluent. But my Jewish wasn't good, but it was... I just had a smattering of Jewish, which I learned by hearing my grandparents in Europe. I never practiced it, I never spoke it. But when I came here, a matter of self-preservation, I was forced to use the little Jewish I knew, simply to communicate.
And I'd like to listen to her speak English. The few words that she spoke, she mispronounced all the words. I don't know whether I was cruel or just laughed in sympathy.
Your laughter wasn't cruel.
I mean, instead of Jean Mance, she said Jena Mansa, which is...
Phonetically, that's what it is in Polish. What drew me to her essentially was music.
Is that it? No, I am a dear old cowboy.
Music was the glue, always has been. One of the glues, one of the things.
I don't even remember your song.
But a major aspect of our lives is the music.
The dissident.
Here's this girl who's giving you the toughie. The tough kid on the block, and then she starts singing, or she'll hear some music and she can start and cry. We had an excellent music teacher at that time. Goldie Schlossberg was her name. She had a very profound influence on me and Fagel.
Goldie would write on the wall, but she had eyes in the back of her head.
Yes.
And she had this chalk, and she would be writing on the wall, and then all of a sudden she'd take a name and hit the pupil. She knew exactly who it was.
That was dangerous.
Florence came in 36. And then we have Shirley, and you came in 36 also. And this is sort of your marks there.
Well, gee whiz.
Marks? Is that what you said? Oh my God.
Wait, this is...
You see, as long as the school's open, these stay here, and then if the school closes, then they send them to the board, and they're done on a...
Oh, I see.
I was a horror.
Now you're good, because on others sometimes you'll really see, you know, they've been...
No major complaints?
No major complaints.
Are you kidding? I know there were no major complaints.
No.
I was too afraid to cause any problems. And the principal decided that my name would be Shirley.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Mr. Perks.
Oh.
That was no.
He decided.
Yeah, well, my Polish name didn't...
Was what?
He didn't think it was suitable. It wasn't a...
I know, in those days.
Sonia. Sonia is...
I can't believe it.
Anyway, he decided it would be Shirley, and I couldn't pronounce it, and I couldn't spell it for months.
And it stuck?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but I was never late. Never late.
Now, from this whole extended family, there was only my mother's younger sister who went to, and before the war, 1933, I think, or 34, she went to Israel, and she lived there. And my mother came here in 35, 36. That's it. The rest of the family perished. Sisters, brothers, nieces, nephews, parents, grandparents. That's both sides of the family, my father's and my mother's. We came here, like we were, like you grow weeds from nowhere. No aunts, no uncles, no grandparents. That's why I needed a family so desperately. Everybody else had a family. All my friends had families. I didn't have a family, so, once I'm back at the Browns' residence. Once I got in there, I got in with the right foot. That's where I stayed. To this day.
Los pastores ad extrematura. Los iban los pastores ad extrematura. Ya se queda la sierra triste y oscura. Ya se queda la sierra triste y oscura. This whole atmosphere brings so many images to my mind that it really reminds me how different we were, and yet we were. But not because
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
not. I don't function in the
That's
same
true,
way
that's
as.
true, that's
Will
true.
you stop interfering with
Yeah.
my spontaneity?
Yeah, okay.
That we could retain a friendship for so long is based on its beginning is amazing. But now we share practically everything, but we still go off on different paths. But the primary things in our life are shared together, are done together. Being a lesbian and being out in the 40s was really difficult for me. You just didn't talk about being gay. And very often, I felt isolated. I could empathize with these male friends of mine. I was a good buddy, I was a good friend, and friendship is a basis for a love relationship too. But once I knew what it was to love a woman, I knew there was a lack in a complete relationship with a man. So after 10 years of going from one side to the next, I realized that I wasn't going to waste any more energy. I needed that too for a productive life, like studying music, doing the things I wanted to do instead of fighting my own inclinations. So I found other lovers, and she ultimately fell in love with my brother. Maybe I was a little upset at the wedding because maybe it became a reality that that was her orientation, that was the way she was going. But I adjusted to it. And after that...
We both survived it.
I guess so.
What do you think of Shirley and Flo's friendship?
Friendship is good. I mean, I have no dislikes about it. Why?
No, I'm just curious because
She's asking you what you think, not if you approve. Nobody's looking for your approval. They want to know how you feel.
Well, people that need friends. Try and find a good friend.
Well, you know, since he knows me, the friendship has existed, so he never knew otherwise.
And when I came back from New York City, when I walked into the house, thanks, she was sitting at the piano, and I said, "Who's that? Is that right, Florence?" She was playing piano, and what were you doing at the time? Singing.
What else?
You weren't playing the guitar.
No.
And now I have 7 grandchildren.
My brother was going out to work, and I saw Shirley hugging him. And I thought, hey, she really loves that guy. I said, I guess that's what heterosexuality is.
Stick around a few more years. You mentioned other instances. I don't know why you're surprised.
It's logical. Heterosexuals can't empathize with gays and lesbians.
Yeah, but you've been around here,
haven't a clue. So why shouldn't it be the reverse? Anyway, I just saw you approaching Mo and how you hugged him, and I thought it was a lovely vignette.
Oh, that's
a
nice.
domestic
I'm
scene.
glad you approved.
It was lovely. And it was way on in my life that I realized I don't have to be jealous. I don't have to look at a heterosexual couple and wonder what are they feeling. Like, it's so easy there because they're out. It would be wonderful if all people who love one another could flaunt it and be abandoned. And anyway, I see my sister-in-law Shirley here posing with my brother like a couple. Now, it took years and years for me to pose in a natural way with my lover, partner. I used to see this very exotic-looking woman, beautiful, about 23 years old. She had braids around, she was very European. I liked European people. She had braids around her ears. She wore ballet slippers and a polka dot dress. She was very exotic. She just didn't look like our average Canadian girl. I had another friend who always spoke about her friend, Sophie. And the way she talked about her, like she used to eulogize her, she's brilliant, she's intellectual, she's so interesting looking, she's just unusual. But it didn't register. I never identified this particular person I had met before with the Sophie that my friend was describing. Anyway, in June, she invited me to a party. I was there early, and Sylvia said, "Answer the doorbell for me, please." And just as I was going to the door, an image of Sophie came into my mind. And when I opened the door, she says, my name's Sophie, and I knew it. I knew before I opened the door that was the same person. I hadn't seen her from April, and this was June, and that was it. Sophie was my partner and lover for 25 years.
As soon as she came up to my house in Dilipi, I knew that Fagel was going to be together with her. I knew, I could sense it as if somebody wrote a sign on each of their foreheads. I knew it. I was so positive.
what about it? How'd you know?
I don't know. It was a sense. It's the way they looked at each other. I knew Sophie's going to be a member of my family. big difference in my life was when I went back to school. That was the major thing. In my adult life, after the family, that was the major thing.
How old were you when you went back to school?
I was 53, 54. That's when I found myself. That's when I really, for the first time in my whole life, I was the focus of my attention. And it was fantastic, and it hasn't changed since then, only more so. You know, I take all the time I need, I do what I want. Fortunately, my husband doesn't deter me. Well, I don't think he could even if he tried, but he doesn't. After I got the degree, later, Fagel suggested and I agreed. I was just interested in women, period. Women's literature, women's in science, women, period. You know, there's a whole world out there where women were and are involved. Not only as far as religion is concerned, so that opened up another new world.
All my life, I've been outspoken and an activist. I'll come out and march for gay pride, but I'll fight for other groups too. I had a request for a Hungarian love song, and I'm dedicating it to my friend. There's some collection here.
Yeah, a lot of visiting cards.
Yeah. In 1973, Sophie began to fall. Or she'd come home with her legs bruised and her stockings torn. I wondered why, and she said she fell, she slipped the curb. Sophie had amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, what they call the Lou Gehrig disease.
It was a very bad time in my life, primarily because I loved Sophie. And secondly, because Fagel's life was falling apart. I mean, and so was mine because of it. It was terrible. It was 2-3 years. It was just horrible. When Sophie went into the hospital, Florence and I would visit her every day. We just about lived there, and we played music for the patients. We knew each patient what his favorite thing. One woman liked Amazing Grace. I don't think she was Jewish, actually, this person. I forgot her name. She loved Amazing Grace. I played it, and who knew that it's got 100 verses? You know, I played 2, 3, 4 times. I thought, okay. And I tried to fit. No, she said, it's not finished. I know another verse, and I know another verse.
During that 4 years of Sophie's illness, if I was there, Shirley was there. So could I put it any more simple?
That's great.
Shirley was my right-hand woman.
Okay, I'll try and match you. Why don't you take a little bigger strides, just a tiny bit. Thank you.